The Democratic Alliance wants to know why there was no police visibility in Phoenix and Chatsworth during last month's violence. It's visiting police stations in the area today. At least 36 people were killed in Phoenix during the peak of looting and riots in the country. And that happened last month, you will remember. Let me take you to eNCA senior journalist Dasen Thathiah, who is out in the area in Chatsworth, outside the police station there. So, Dasen, what exactly, what answers exactly is the DA seeking there in as far as police activity is concerned from last month's violence and the killings that happened in Phoenix?
Well, Tulas, I think to answer that question, I'll have to take you back to the time of this unrest. And at that time, there were many people in these communities of both Chatsworth and Phoenix, amongst other communities as well, that were asking just that question of where were the police? Why were the police not responding? Why were the police not securing their areas, residential areas, in light of everything that they had seen going on at businesses in the vicinity of these areas? So many of those businesses torched, ransacked, looted, and there was fear that then set into communities where they had been looking to police and asking that exact question. So that question was largely not answered. And now the DA, I guess, has taken it upon itself to come in here. It has a lot of support in these areas, and I think that's important to mention, in both Chatsworth and Phoenix. And in doing that, it has now come here to ask that question of police management. We are outside the Chatsworth police station. It's one of 3 police stations that the Democratic Alliance is visiting today. The visit is being led by its leader, John Steenhuisen, as well as its provincial leadership. And they've just wrapped up an engagement now with the police management here at Chatsworth. We were hoping to get in a word with John Steenhuisen, but unfortunately he hasn't made it out in time just to chat to us. But we will be touching base with him later, because the next part of this visit to us is to Phoenix. And I think that has been of particular interest to many people in light of those killings that you just mentioned there, and all of the attention that has been focused on that area in the aftermath of this unrest.
Yeah, and the tension in the communities there is one side of the story, but the other side of the story, Dasen, is that at the best of times, these are policing precincts that are faced with high levels of crime, right, including issues to do with gangsterism. So I suppose if the inquiry of the DA is into what are the systemic issues that police were facing, I do suspect that they will get a bit of that, as well as issues to do with resources.
Definitely, and those are some of the concerns that have previously been raised. I mean, we've covered stories in Chatsworth as well where that had come up before. You'll remember a few years ago there was an issue of a crime that came to the fore when there was a little girl that was killed here during a hijacking that took place, and that even a few years ago was already an issue. The issues around resources and other crimes that go on. And I think just to touch on that point that you just made now about this period and these stations being particularly hard-pressed to deal with crime, it's important to note that other issues that police were dealing with during this time didn't just magically stop during the unrest. There were still incidents that they had to respond to, but I think that the expectations of the communities that they served were particularly high. I think in engaging with people, there was almost an expectation that there would be a police van on every corner, but to us, it's common knowledge that there are not enough police officers or resources to do that. So I think a lot of the answers that the DA would be seeking today would be around the strategy that was used to deploy the resources that were available, and why that strategy, as we can now safely say in hindsight, didn't work.
Dasen, visiting the police stations and seeking to understand the issues from a policing perspective is one thing. The other side, of course, has to do with community relations within the areas of Phoenix and surrounding areas. Do we know if the DA will be going down that path of inquiry?
And this is not the first visit, mind you. The Democratic Alliance has been in Phoenix and in those areas just after the unrest or closer to the time of that unrest. It's not clear now whether there will be any community engagement, because that's still quite a sensitive area to tread into, Tulas. You know that the police minister has been in and out of Phoenix as well. He's also been holding community meetings. There's still a lot of, the emotions are still very high there, as it would be after all of these incidents. I mean, in some cases, there's a polarization of those that are for and against the people that have been arrested. There have been 36 people that have been arrested in Phoenix, for example, in relation to those murders. Some are saying that they should not have been arrested in the first place. Other families of those people that have died in Phoenix are saying that this is justice and they want it to move faster. So it is a very sensitive part to tread on. I was hoping to ask John Steenhuisen, and I will do it later when I speak to him, exactly how he aims to manage this process, because in taking up the concerns of one community, you risk isolating another. And it's going to be a tightrope that he's going to walk on. Let's see how he handles that. Let's get some answers from the DA when they visit Phoenix and see if we can find out how they manage to tackle this.
Absolutely. Important oversight work. That's one way to look at it. But of course, politics never too far off the minds of politicians. So one just hopes that somewhere in between those two extremes, this perhaps produces forward movement in the interests of the community of Phoenix and surrounding areas, and particularly resolving those tensions in those areas. eNCA's senior journalist Dasen Thathiah outside the Chatsworth police station there, tracking the visit there by the DA's John Steenhuisen, the leader of the opposition, visiting that area today.